Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Figure It Out. Today we're going to talk a bit about mental health and the impact it has had on our current generation, Gen Z, the millennials, boomers as we call them nowadays. And to talk about that, I have Siddhi with me. Hi Siddhi, welcome to the
Hi.
show. So quickly jumping into it, you want
Yeah.
to talk about your background and what do you do currently?
So I like talking to people. I
Okay.
like getting to know their stories. I like understanding where they're coming from, where their thought process is coming from. Therefore, I decided maybe psychology is for me. Yeah.
Okay.
So I took like a jump and thought maybe this is for me. And I have done my master's in clinical psychology, and I've also done an advanced diploma in counseling.
Okay.
So currently, I'm working associated with one company, and we provide counseling services to different corporates. So we
Okay.
have a lot of corporate clients of us, and we
Hmm.
provide counseling sessions to them.
Okay. So I think corporate culture, as we keep calling it out, like the toxic corporate culture, I think it's pretty much needed there. But
Yeah.
I mean, I've grown up. It's been 12 years since I've been working, and when I started working, people didn't really have this therapist culture. So what has led to corporates having a therapist on board? What's the logic behind it?
So I think honestly, I tell you, it has become like this fad ki, oh, my company provides counseling services,
Okay.
like how we have Mediclaim, health insurance, all of those
Right.
things. Now it's become like this cool thing, that we offer counseling services. So an employee will stick with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it came from a little bit of there. And also people started realizing, a lot of people started raising it out to the HR that, hey, that the work hours are so long, so odd. There are so many things going on. Managers started to realize that, there are personal shit affecting the work.
Yeah.
So I think it would make sense to have a therapist on board.
So somewhere, the emotional connect that people have with their work, people are treating it as one unit. People are treating,
Yeah.
the resources, as they call it on the sheet of paper. Started treating them as humans and
Yes.
understanding their problems and trying to solve it at a molecular level.
Yes. I
Right.
like how you put it. They're treating people as humans.
Yeah,
They're
that's how it is.
understanding. Yeah. They're understanding that, hey, this person is going through something, and it might just help if we dig deep into it and understand the person's psyche, and then, do something about it. So the person
Right.
can impact us and, bring up more productivity at work,
Yeah.
which eventually
ताकि हम
will.
उसे और exploit कर सकें.
Yes. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, so I think you mentioned about people. It's more like a perk for people to come on board. That okay, we have a
Yeah.
therapist on board for to help you with your personal life as well. So do you also infer that it's more of a fad? Or more of a something cosmetic feature that people are providing these days, or is it, or some are actually recognizing the actual use of it?
Well, so I think there are both kind of people in the industry, right?
Okay.
There are people who just want to sell it. Like it becomes like a selling point that, hey, we also provide counseling services. And outside, if you go, counselors charge a really huge price for one
Yeah.
session. So if a company is giving you these services for free of cost, right, then it also becomes like, why not join this company who's also giving me so and so features,
Absolutely.
as opposed to a company which is only giving me the basic stuff.
Right. But what I was trying to ask is it like people who come, like, okay, let me put it differently. Why would, okay, this is a company offering you, right? Okay, say I go for an interview and the company says, oh, you know what, we have this also,
Right.
a facility offering you. Like, okay, but the first question I ask myself is, why would a person need a therapy?
I've been asked this, or I've been told this so many times now, that why do you think I need therapy? The people take offense about it, right? They're
Yeah.
like, do you think I'm crazy? This is still something that I hear. They're like, I don't have a mental health disorder. Why do I have to go for therapy?
Correct.
Right? But I always try and tell people, psychoeducate them, that not only if you have a mental health disorder, that is you go for therapy for. You can also go to therapy when you have emotional concerns, when you know that you have a lot of stressors in your life which you're not able to control by yourself, and you may need an additional help, or you might need a facilitator to guide you through it.
Right.
You have to work on it by yourself, but
Right.
somebody is going to be there to guide you, to show you the way.
Right.
So not just somebody with a mental health disorder, like somebody who has depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, all of that, you go for counseling. It's not that you just go to counseling just for that, right?
Yeah.
You can go to counseling to figure out about yourself, to explore some things about yourself. Maybe I realize that I have pattern of smoking, right? Like I tend to smoke when I feel very, very stressed, right? So, and people want to do something about that smoking. People want to actually tune into it, dig deeper into it. So, what they do is you come to counseling, we explore the stressors, we explore the origin, we explore the core beliefs.
Okay.
That eventually then, helps out with an addiction, really say, or let's say something like my anger or my emotion, to how do I regulate that. So it's not only when it is a disorder, right, where you can take help. You can take help when I feel like, how do I control my stress? I want to manage my stress, but I just don't know how to do that. So I think you can reach out to counseling for pretty much all of those emotional related concerns, relationship concerns as well.
Anything in your life, emotion. So if I take it on a scale, positive, neutral, negative, anything neutral and below, you can go to a therapist.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Or maybe even for a positive, you can go to have a chat, or what, I achieved this, etc.
Right.
But if you talk about that, isn't it blurring a line between a therapist and a friend?
I think we are realizing, we're recognizing the importance of having a non-judgmental person, right? Not saying that friends are judgmental. So, but there comes a point beyond which you feel like, I don't feel safe here.
Yeah.
So I need to go to a safe space.
Got
And
it.
what's a safe space? Counseling is a safe space. It's supposed to be a safe space where I go in, share concerns that I have, and a therapist will actually hear me out, listen to me, not just hear me out. So active listening is what I'm looking for, which probably I'm not getting as much. When I start talking about something, my friend might go be like, hey, this happens to me as well. I think it's all right. We get over it. But no, I want someone to just listen to me. And I think we do have friends, but how many of them actually listen to you?
Yeah.
And so the distinction between hearing and listening is why maybe you might want to go to a therapist, essentially.
Fair. But when you talk about this, like, I need a safe space, isn't, a lot of people just, go to a therapist just because maybe it's like a regular fad these days. It's a trend. Oh, you know what, I'm taking therapy. Because I saw these screenshots on Twitter saying that, okay, someone tweeted, need someone to go to therapy with me.
Oh no!
Like, need a guy who will be actually going to couples therapy with me. Like, people are making it. People are making memes on it, and all. Like, it's becoming a trend.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, what are your thoughts on that? Have you encountered? I mean, you read people, right? That's your whole job. That's your whole, KPI, right? Right. So, have you come across this thing where you think that, okay, yeah, this person is just coming because it's just like a new thing or a trend? Is there been a case like that with you?
So there are times when people come in just because you can brag about it to your friends, that I'm working on myself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to therapy,
How many people actually work on themselves?
Yeah. Oh God. So I'm working on myself. I'm going to therapy. Everyone's going to therapy now, which is good, great for us.
It's what made you an aggregator for so many corporates.
Right. So I do think that yes, there are a lot of people who come. Maybe essentially they start and they look into therapy for like it's going to be a cool thing.
Yeah.
Right. Some population do.
Absolutely.
While they enter into it, they start to realize that there is a lot more layers that they have not uncovered.
Yeah.
So then maybe it starts getting more interesting.
If at all they are interested in working on themselves.
Yeah.
And not just putting it on their Bumble bio.
Yeah. It's also very catchy, right?
Yeah.
On a Bumble bio, yeah.
Am I giving you ideas for your Bumble bio?
Don't need them.
So coming back, take like a 2 minutes back, you were mentioning about difference between hearing and listening. Since you're actively listening, is there a regulation? Like, if you talk about facts, like if someone I want to pursue, like someone who's like a 16-year-old right now, thinking maybe, okay, I'll become a therapist. I can listen to people, like how you said, I like talking to people, right? So what are the regulations? What are the how thoughts or facts rather, for becoming a therapist? What are the do's and don'ts, pros and cons?
Okay, so the do's and don'ts. So unfortunately, sadly, so we don't have a government body that gives us a license in India as yet to practice.
So you can't call yourself Dr. Siddhi yet,
No.
unfortunately.
So we don't have a license to practice as a therapist. While we do have a license for a clinical psychologist, one who maybe assesses and tests people, but we don't really have a good body of licensing. So that's one of the problems in India.
It's also a pro, right? If you fuck up, no one can blame you. You can't be sued.
But then what happens is there are so many people on Instagram with they might read like 1-2 books.
Yeah.
Might go just do one course. Hi, I'm a therapist.
Yeah, I know.
So and
there
so
was a
many
case
of them-
also recently. There was this big time influencer, I think last year. I
Oh yes,
forgot the name. I forgot the name.
it starts from S.
Yeah, some person who said that
She'll start charging. For
yeah, you can
therapy
talk
for
to me,
something,
and
yes.
this is the link you can pay for.
Yeah.
And people flipped on her, right?
I was one of them.
You were one of them, of
I
course.
was one of them in the comments.
मेरे
I was
पेट
like,
पे लात
"No."
मारेगी.
Yeah, I mean, like, इतना पढ़ाई किया हमने.
Of
So what?
course.
You come out here being an influencer and go tell people because you have that
I think
following.
I don't like the term influencer.
Yeah,
being a
neither do I.
marketer, I hate the term influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, coming back, like, the pros and cons definitely.
Yeah.
So,
what we do is so it's a field where you can get intensive knowledge, in-depth knowledge about a lot of branches of therapies, right? A good knowledge about, so a master's degree would be suited to work here in India. Just that is enough. But of course, if you want to,
so why did you do a diploma?
I did a diploma because I felt like master's wasn't enough, because in India you apparently don't get trained practically as much. You get theoretical knowledge.
Okay.
So I felt like, I don't feel like I'm capable to actually, because I'm dealing with people and their emotions. So I want to make sure that I feel confident. And I didn't feel until I
did your diploma.
I did my advanced diploma.
It's not just about the diploma. I feel it's about doing something more than just masters.
Right. And just being out there with a bunch of therapists and practicing it on us first, right? So I mean, I do know that we had sessions and we had role plays where we practiced on each other. We discussed a lot of therapies, how practically it affects.
So your fraternity is important over here.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. So what are the that's the con, that you don't have a regulatory body. The pro is that,
and one of the cons is that we are doing such a, I'm talking about the cons first.
Yeah.
We do such hard, sensitive work, but we don't get paid. That's really sad. We don't get paid as well.
I'm pretty sure there'll be like 5 other people. I don't get paid for doing my job right now, right?
So that's one thing where you can't come to psychology.
How much is enough? Got to
But
ask
we literally get, for the kind of work that us therapists, the kind of work that we therapists do.
Yeah.
I feel like if that would be a little more part to what others are, I think a lot of people would, because I do know a lot of my friends who have studied psychology with me, but aren't practicing psychologists. They have jumped into something
because
else
they don't get paid that much.
Yes.
In the end, you've got to see how much the ROI is on your education, and यार EMI भरनी होती है, घर खरीदना होता है, गाड़ी चाहिए होती है, credit card bill pay करना होता है,
lifestyle maintain करना होता है,
lifestyle maintain करना होता है. I think in the end you need to reach a place where you don't think twice before spending $500.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's the $500,000. That's the ideal place where you need to be at least in a tier 1 city.
Yes, absolutely.
Tier 2 maybe a little lower, tier 3 maybe might lower, right? Happiness is subjective.
Yes.
Right. Cool. So that is the cons, right? What are the pros?
So the pros are that there's immense job satisfaction.
I'm sure.
So
it's in a way you're a kind of a mentor.
Yeah.
You're guiding someone and then they're doing it, and then you feel like, "Arey, मैंने इसको किया था."
Yeah. I do know that a lot of my clients, when they've, the ones who've been so close to attempting suicide, have now come to me and told me that, hey, thank you for being there for me that day. It means a lot. I do feel like, पैसा वैसा छोड़ो, मुझे ये मिल रहा है.
Yeah,
even though not छोड़ो.
थोड़ा तो मिलो यार, थोड़ा तो मिलना चाहिए.
But I'm really happy when, like some impact is made.
Of course, of course.
And
impact matters.
Yeah, impact matters. Yeah.
So the cons, the pros is that you create a big impact.
Educate people about psychology. It's still like we are still in the process of educating what psychology is, why counseling is needed, who can go to counseling for. Like even in 2024, we are doing that, right?
I think it's a field which is catching up, and I think in the next the way things are moving forward, I think in the next 3-4 years it will be at a place where it will be properly recognized.
That's true.
Hopefully,
it's already a lot better than what it was before.
Of course, which is why we're doing this. Right, which is why you're working in it.
Yes.
Right. So you mentioned like you need to like a suicidal person talking to you, so it's obviously exhaustive, right? So do you like, how many sessions do you do in a week?
So I do like around 15-20. That's so 5 per day, approx 4-5 per day.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
I mean, if I look at my 8-hour work day, so उसमें से 5 घंटा मुझे लोग की सी बातें सुननी है. Isn't that exhaustive?
It is very exhausting. At times it is, and at times you take back certain cases with you. Right? Generally it doesn't happen though, but some clients, some stories just stay with you.
Right, of course.
And then it becomes like, okay, what do I do for myself to get out of that?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, especially if you're an empathetic person, right? It stays with you, and you go into an overdrive mode, and you can't stop thinking, right? So how does a therapist need a therapist?
Yes. Yes. I go for therapy, guys. I go for therapy.
Does it get paid for?
Little bit.
That's okay.
Yeah, but I do have to. I don't need to go to therapy. I feel like it's so important because I'm out there with so many people, listening to them. Like sometimes I feel, and I have issues of my own, right?
Of course.
Have my own problems that I deal with. So it helps.
मेरी भी life है यार.
हाँ ना यार. I mean, a lot of people do say कि यार, why do you need a therapist? So would you say that to a dentist? खुद के दांत निकालो?
Of course.
Not, right? So I do need a therapist. I do need to vent it out somewhere. I do need to have clarity over my life, over my thoughts, and of course supervision over my work that I'm doing, right? So that helps.
Yeah, I think recently I was so I'm a little bit into fitness also. I saw some coaches talking about some coach coaching them as well. So even coaches need coaching, right, because I think you use the word supervision, right? It's not a lack of knowledge. I think it's a lack of discipline.
Right.
There needs to be someone to catch hold of you and be like, bas ho gaya, abhi chill kar thoda sa, do this for your own betterment.
Yes.
Right? So I'm pretty sure the therapist that you go for, there is nothing new that the therapist can teach you. You know all of that shit, right? But it's just someone telling you that, okay, relax.
Yeah.
They take that step back. Which is what my girlfriend keeps telling me, take a step back, relax. Doesn't happen. That's a different story. But cool. Moving on, I think a very key important thing which I want to talk about is what are the major scenarios, circumstances in which people approach you for, or any, stories that have stuck by you, as you rightly said. What has created an impact?
So again, like I said, it doesn't only have to be a mental health disorder. Correct. It can be, let's say, I recognize a pattern to my anger, right? And sometimes there isn't this acceptance of the fact that I am angry, or I get angry very easily. There also isn't self-awareness as to what I would say
reasons. if I talk about anger, it's about no control over emotions.
Yes. Okay. And we do call anger as a secondary emotion.
Okay.
Right? So anger comes because of something else. There is a primary emotion that is making one angry, right? So that can be fear, that can be sadness, it can be hurt. Because I'm hurt, I'm getting angry about it. Right? So going in and understanding, being self-aware in what are the reasons that's making me angry, acceptance that yes, there is an anger problem, and then what do I do about it, right? How do I deal with it? What action do I take to recognize that, okay, this anger is being a problem, what do I do about it, right?
I think people fuck up over that last part, right? They don't. They understand where it is, and this just stop there. This is the problem.
I do understand. I'm very self-aware. Like I know that I have.
But they won't work on it.
Yes.
Right. Anyway, so first is no control over emotions.
No
right. That is one of the most common topic that you've dealt with. What is the second one?
Second one is work-life balance. Right. We do know that your work-life balance is really
most common one.
There isn't a work-life balance.
There is.
Yeah. So I do
work-life balance.
Yeah. I do, and because this culture, this work culture, this 70-hour-a-week work culture is so promoted. It's so celebrated that hey, I'm so hardworking, right? I'm a workaholic.
Yeah.
Right. It's such a nice thing. It's so normalized. We tend to forget that work is a part of our life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not my entire life.
Yeah.
So often what I tell my clients is that, okay, yes, a lot of my clients do tell me that, after I log out at 8 or 7 or whatever, mera din khatam ho gaya. My day has ended. I said, how has it ended?
Exactly.
Your day doesn't end until you go to bed and sleep, right? So what do you do for the next 4-5 hours?
Yeah.
And most of them don't have an answer. No, like maybe I just scroll on Instagram, or maybe like I just talk here and there. Yeah,
that's not productive.
Exactly. So I feel like, because we think of work as the majority part of our life, and which it is, right? So not to say that it isn't. Work is a huge part of our life, but it's still a part of your life. There are still so many other things we can do to look forward to.
Yeah.
But we don't.
Even if it's 80%, you still have 20%.
Yes. And I do feel like we need to look at the other things. Like work is a part of my life, but I also like arts. Maybe I also like going to concerts. Maybe I also like going and meeting with my friends and just chit-chatting, right? Something to look forward to.
Maybe I just like to go for a walk, whatever it may be.
Yes, exactly. Anything, but you do something for yourself outside of work.
Yeah.
Right? I always make it a point to tell my clients that have a plan for after work hours. Have a plan for weekends. You don't necessarily have to go out every weekend and spend money. You can do a lot of things at home.
PlayStation खेल लो.
घर पे gardening कर लो.
Lego बना लो.
कुछ भी कर लो.
Yeah.
Journaling कर लो.
Yeah.
But something to look forward to apart from just working.
Yeah.
Because then what's going to happen is, like, we charge our phones, right, before going to work the next day. We can't go on a 10% battery. Then why do we?
This is not the 90s.
Yeah.
10% could last for 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. So I need to do something to recharge myself. Unless I do that, I'm going to carry the same thing to office, to work next day, and I'm going to get frustrated, and I'm going to come back home with the same baggage which I haven't let out anywhere. I'm going to come out, going to get angry at my parents, going to get angry at my partner, yell at my kids, right? Because I don't have a outlet. What do I do? So I often tell people that after you be an employee, before you jump into the role of a parent or a spouse
or an individual,
have some time for yourself.
Yeah.
Some squeeze in that half an hour to 1 hour where you simply do things that you like. Maybe just go hit the gym, go for a walk, listen to music,
for a drive,
watch something. Yeah, anything. But spend some time with yourself before jumping into another role. Because then you have to let it out somewhere, flush out the frustration from your system before you jump into another role.
I think this is the very first time I've heard something like, we always talk about find a different hobby, find this, apart from your work. But I like how you rightly put it. Jumping into roles, that is so nice. I put it in a different way. I keep telling people that when you step out of your house, there's a switch that, you forget your personal life, but that's technically me switching from a son to a work, to an employee, right? And when I leave from work, I switch off that employee switch and I move back to a son role, right? So I think that role is very rightly put. You need to think of it as a role. In a day, how many roles you're playing?
Yes.
If you're just playing one role, that you're not doing justice to your life.
Right. And then where are you in it?
Yeah.
Right. So I need to figure out, I need to spend some time. Yeah, the me time, which is so glorified on Instagram, that I'm going to have self-care and me time. But this is me time. It's not just putting out those face masks and going for a spa. It's sitting and being with your thoughts, writing it down, maybe just doing something that you purely like and love.
So one is emotional, second is your work-life balance. The third is?
Third is, I do get a lot of cases of, I do see a lot of people who are suicidal, or have a lot of self-harming thoughts and tendencies.
Ouch.
Yeah. It gets a
How do you
little
deal
heavy.
with that?
It
Isn't it
does,
exhaustive for you?
at times it does get exhausting. Just today I had a client tell me that, and he was a little distressing client, right, with a lot of concerns and a lot of emotional abuse issues. He came in, he walked into the session and he was like, do you not feel like you want someone to ask you, how are you? Right? And I love that. I loved how he was like, does anyone actually check in with you? And I'm like, thank you for saying that. It really made my day.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming back to the point, I do see a lot of clients feeling very suicidal. Some just doing it maybe for, let's say, attention. Yeah, but that attention seeking also comes from a place.
Yeah.
Right? Comes from
let's
a place
not disregard. Let's not disregard.
Yeah, let's not, because it comes from a place of hurt. Right? They want to be seen, they want to be recognized, and the fact that they have not been recognized in a way that they would like.
They want to be dramatic so that they get noticed.
Yes. So it's a very helpless sort of a thing that they probably don't want to do it, but there's no other way. Yeah. Like, for example, somebody in a house where they feel like, I have to yell, okay, for my point to be heard. I actually feel really sad about it.
Yeah.
Because you can't just normally speak. Right? You have to yell and shout so people can actually listen to you.
Yeah.
So you have to go beyond those, take those extra measures to just be normal, or to feel that normalcy. Yeah. So a lot of clients with suicidal history, suicidal attempts, and times when I've had a client in the basement, okay, calling me from the basement. We had a session and she was really shaking on the call and she's like, tell me one good reason why I should live.
Wow.
I really don't feel like, and and then we go deeper into it, and luckily she's all well today, and I'm really happy about it. But just randomly, that last night I was in the balcony, I felt like jumping, I had those thoughts, or I feel like, there's nothing better, hopelessness, about the future. All of those things come in. But I would like to point out that there are a lot of people are reaching out.
Yeah. It's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I think after
it's a good start.
It's a good start. I don't know if it's after Sushant Singh Rajput episode, because that's the time when the conversation really started a lot in COVID. I think it was COVID times, before COVID, I think. Just before, yeah. So that started a lot of conversations, and since then I feel like there's been so much increase of clients with suicidal thoughts, and they're actually reaching out. So one thing I'd like to say is that, we say that, I want to attempt suicide, but there's always this part in us that wants to resist, wants to hold back, and that part actually calls out for help. That part reaches out and says that, hey, because if the person wanted to attempt suicide, they would have. They wouldn't have reached out. The fact that they did is because there is something in them which is telling them, hey, let's just try this out and let's see how it is.
There is a maybe.
Yes. There's a slight hope.
Even if it's 0.5%, there is.
And it's there in every human being. Even sometimes those who actually have died of suicide.
They've just ignored that.
It's just that it so happened that for those brief seconds, they didn't have anybody to help them out. Had someone been there with them in that time, they wouldn't have. Yeah. So the thing about suicidal thoughts is that you don't want to have it, of course, right? Course. But in the moment, the thought convinces you so strongly that nothing else is going to work, and it's just this. It's a very temporary and it's a very minute by minute thing. So it happens in these minutes, and then if somebody engages you in for those few minutes, you don't feel like, the thoughts subside.
The thought is gone.
The thought is gone. But what you need is, you need the right person, the right helpline number to speak to you. And in that moment, if somebody speaks to you and tries to calm you down, like, because you don't do therapy in that period. Yeah. You just try and distract the person. Yeah. You just try and engage the person in something else until they feel a little okay to then talk about what really was bothering. Yeah.
So I think you rightly mentioned about some helpline numbers and people reaching out. So what I'll do probably is, it's actually a on-the-go thought. I just realized it, that I'll in the description I'll mention some helpline numbers in the description. At least 2 लोग भी देख रहे हो, वो 4 लोग को आगे भेज सकते हैं.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So people who are listening, if you see it, please share numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
And I always tell people, हम health insurance जिस दिन admit होने जा रहे हैं उस दिन नहीं निकालते.
Absolutely.
We have
Just keep it saved.
in us.
Just keep it
so
saved.
why not save these numbers?
Absolutely. यार कितना contact का जगह खाएगा तुम्हारे phone में?
Exactly. So have those numbers saved in. If you don't need it right now, great, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But there might come a point where you or somebody you know might
it's just
need
a contingency plan.
Yes.
It's nothing else. It's just a contingency plan.
Yeah. And if the same thing applies to physical health, it should apply to mental health also, because it's as dangerous as a physical health concern is.
I think we can do a whole different podcast on physical and mental health combined, right?
We should.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that will be fun. I can pitch in on the physical health part. You can pitch in on the mental health part. It'll be fun. It'll be a nice panel discussion sorts.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's a lot of similarities in it. With respect to the sanity part, the me time and everything. I can, when you were talking about it, I could sense a lot of relatability in it when I, related it with the physical health part, right? So anyway, coming back to this, so emotional, work-life balance, suicidal, any other broad topic that, or is it that these three are the major ones?
So there are a lot of different ones also. There's relationship is so common, breakups is so common.
मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड मुझे छोड़ के चले गई, मेरा आदमी मुझे चीट कर रहा है.
Yeah, and so many cheating related cases. It just pains my heart when I see it out there. But a lot of relationship related concerns, married life.
Does it affect your judgment in relationships?
It does start a
because you
topic.
See so many cases, right? Yeah, it does. How do you distinguish your life from what you listen to?
Yeah, sometimes I feel really grateful for what I have after looking at a lot of gratitude after hearing those stories. That thankfully I have these certain people in my life who I'm really blessed with, and who are there for me.
Yeah.
So, but there are a lot of concerns with relationships, with married life, and a lot of couple counseling sessions.
So you do that as well?
Yes, I do that as well.
Okay.
So a lot of sessions focused on figuring out the conflict resolution strategies, figuring out communication, figuring out exploring love languages, how to incorporate that in sessions.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I
think if I'm not wrong, there's 7 love languages. Right?
Yeah.
Good, I remember. Yeah, cool. So interesting relationship. Again, one different whole podcast. I have a lot to talk about that.
Yeah.
So relationship being the 4th one. Any other topic?
So then there could be improvement, self-improvement. Right? So self-confidence, self-worth.
Yeah.
Right?
A lot of self-worth. Wow. That's a very deep topic.
Yeah, it is. So going back and looking at the core beliefs, right? Of what shatters the self-worth in first place. We don't get to see that on surface quite often, right? What we see is the negative thoughts. I tend to call negative thoughts as negative automatic thoughts. I always tend to refer it to those pop-up ads, right? The more you press on OK and cross, another ad pops in, and then another.
You need to press the right X.
Still, it's very difficult to get that, right? So similarly, we have those negative thoughts, right? There's so many of them.
Yeah.
But those negative thoughts come from a core belief that you develop in childhood.
Yeah.
Right? A certain core belief that sometimes makes you feel worthless. Yeah. Sometimes makes you feel like nobody loves me, or I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do it, or for so and so reason, I don't think, so a lot of understanding the core belief, a lot of dividing and understanding what are the components under self-worth, right? Again, here, a lot of people do recognize work being 80% of it, right? But there are so many other things in our life, which make us self-worth, right?
Yeah,
it's absolutely not just work. So what happens is when my work doesn't go well, or I'm removed from a project, my self-worth comes down to, let's say, 0. I feel like I'm worthless. I couldn't even be in one project. I couldn't even work this. What good am I?
Yeah.
right? But there are so many other things in life. There are relationships, there are friendships, there is personal development, there's my personal life, there are my hobbies, entertainment that I can look forward to. So it's not just work. But weirdly, so we've been so conditioned to 95% and to this particular project you do, only then you are seen, or only then you are good enough as a person, or
I
only
think
then it matters.
3 things, over here, when you're talking, like I was just thinking. One, I think when you talk about, like, say, I think I can, one thing I can come to is need for validation,
Yes.
right? That self-worth. You want to be validated, then that's why you're doing a certain thing,
Yeah.
right? The second, I think, maybe is you need to stop taking work issues personally, right? Because there are factors beyond your control.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Right. The third is, I think, this is from two employee or reportee level. I think at a managerial level, people need to stop playing mind games with the reportees. Right, as you were saying that, okay, only if you do this, then you're worth it. Like, that is being fed in by managers in a certain way to their reportees, that, you know what, like, I can give you a nice example where they start building up the context to give you a very less appraisal from December itself. Right, they'll start pointing out, oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, etc.
Yes.
Right, from December, January itself, so
They
that by
start
March,
making up their mind,
so
yeah.
that by March, when they reveal the numbers, you're like, "Arey, mere ko to itna hi milna tha."
So you're not taken aback, very smart.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so the conditioning, you need to maybe not in a way start questioning your management, but in a way stop feeling that the management, giving management the God complex.
Yeah, yeah,
They're not
true.
God.
But I feel like a lot of that comes from parenting. And it
Respect your elders.
and it originates from your parents telling you that, only when you get 90%, I'm going to allow you this, or I'm going to buy you this. And, it is seen like, acha reward milega.
Yeah.
But what idea that they're putting is that you yourself is not enough. You
Yeah.
need to show me that you are bringing
Prove
this.
it.
Yes, you need to prove it to earn my love. It's not
Yeah.
unconditional. It should be
I
unconditional.
read this quote a long back. Bribe is an institution started by parents.
Yes. Oh God, yes. I so agree with it.
Our parents only teach us how to bribe.
Right. So what do you expect? So we are going to learn that thinking and going to then want to continue it even at
It's more
workplace.
like a give and take equation that they teach you, that there is, you need to have something on the LHS to get to RHS. You want an RHS, then you need to have something on the LHS. You won't get RHS just for the sake of it. That's how parents have brought us up, right? So perfect. So these, like, 4-5 broad topics you majorly get. Um, what is your most interesting topic to deal with?
It really is parenting.
Parenting.
Yeah, I really like it. I really feel like parenting, and I know this again sounds like very complex, but abuse.
Abuse is a very wide, vague term.
Abuse, emotional trauma, uh, toxicity. I want to get into the depth of what makes a person toxic, right? So, a toxic person is a helpless person. A toxic person became toxic because of certain things. So, what are those certain things, right? What has made a person act in a way that, for example, I need to cut myself to get attention. And that's really sad. I feel really sorry for the person, because the person had to do that to get attention.
Yeah.
Right. So there are so many layers under that abuse, under that emotional trauma. So figuring that out is something I really enjoy. Sounds really weird.
It's a very sadistic pleasure that you're talking about.
But I love it that I, just to uncover, okay, what are the reasons, the reasoning, the thought process behind this, and of course parenting, because I feel like if we get that right, then a lot of other things will sort of reduce. I wouldn't say eliminate, but reduce. Yeah, a lot of concerns.
I think
would be reduced.
when you talk about parenting, I have a two-part thing to it, two ways rather. We can talk both about both, but you can choose whatever you want to talk about also. How differently men and women are parented right from their birth, right? Men are conditioned in a certain way, women are conditioned in a certain way, right? And with the rise of feminism, feminism is equality, if I may put it, right?
Yes.
Right? But of late it's become men hating.
Yes. Oh God, thank you.
Right?
There aren't many people who actually, if you say anything against feminism, it's like, how can you say that?
No, it is a thing that I can point it out with examples. I can actually, I used to actually store screenshots. I like to call it storing receipts, right? Whenever I wanted it, I could throw it in people's face. But no, I've stopped doing that because I stopped trying to prove myself. Right? It's my certain belief, and I don't want to prove it to anyone. But I'm all for feminism and equality, right? But I like to have the walk the talk attitude, right? I'm all up for you being equal to me, right? But then prove it. Don't just be all talk, right? Or just accept it that these are the 4 things that I can do, these are the 6 things you do. Yeah. Right? There is no harm in that. Because also there is a certain way that you're brought up, and there is also certain physical and mental limitations that a person has. There are certain things that I can't do, there are certain things that a woman can't do. Right?
And but I want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge that certain things I'm not good at. It's fine.
It's fine. There is nothing wrong in that. There is no competition, right?
Yeah.
It is always 1 + 1.
Exactly. It just so becomes a competition that, oh, he's doing this, so I'm going to do more of that.
My girlfriend and I, we share the firm stream beliefs that, there are certain things that she can do. I let her take the lead on that. Dude, you do it. I'm going to take a step back. There are certain things I can do. I take the lead on that. I do it. You take a step back. I'll do it. Yeah. And that's how I think, a relationship, a unit should work, right? Yeah. People should stop treating themselves as like, one-man army. Yeah. You're not going to get anything out of it, right? So coming back to it, like, the parenting, the men are conditioned in a certain way, women are conditioned in a certain way. What's your take on that? Like, how have you dealt with certain situations in a way? Because, when I see tweets and all, people are like, okay, men are always associated. It's the a connotation attached to men. Men are always attached to the finance. Women are always attached to the emotions. Right? So how do you have any insights on this, or do you want to have any situations, context on this? So women do understand emotions a lot better than men. So I think that women are conditioned and brought up and raised with a lot of understanding a person's emotion, where they come from. Yeah. Right? Hearing them out, keeping the other above you, right? The patriarchy system did that, right? So men were above females, and women had to consider that at all times. She had to understand where a man is coming from, right? So in a way, it is the emotion part is they're trained with. Yeah. I do feel like we can start giving maybe as much training about it to men as well. Men. Yeah. Absolutely. But still having and still being okay with the fact that yes, women are more emotional, and that's still okay. Yeah. So men don't have to take that place, but just acknowledge it. Yeah, acknowledge it. Right. Acknowledge it, respect it. Right. And give them that liberty. Yeah. That stage, okay, yeah, this is yours. Give them that, I would say, their rightful credit. Right. And like what you spoke about, you also do relationship counseling. Yeah. So how does it impact in that, like in relationships, men versus women? So in the sense, what are you trying to check? For example, like what are the basic issues that you come with apart from cheating? You mentioned that cheating is probably the main thing that you get. It's coming up a lot. Yeah. But other things are more with, communication. Like I'm trying to say something, but it so feels like when I say something about the other person, or let's say about the other person's friends or their families, the other person might feel like it is coming from a place of attack. Right? So I'm not even hearing you out. I'm just creating a wall.
right? So maybe what we could spend more time in is maybe starting with a disclaimer of love, right? That, hey, you and I are a unit. I love you. I care about you. But I also recognize that there are these things, and let's talk about it, right? So a lot of times it's the miscommunication, it's misunderstandings that, that go on from one level and it just reaches up, and then things become so problematic that becomes
There's no
really
coming
hard.
back.
Yeah, it becomes very hard to resolve and come back from that. But I think communication and just knowing how to fight and how to resolve,
choosing your battles is very
choosing your
important.
battles, yes.
I think and also I think you can lose a battle to win the war.
Yeah, and that's all right, because see, essentially you are a team, right?
Yeah.
So if I care about you, I'm okay with, okay, if you piss me off, right? So I'm all right with that. I'm going to forgive that, maybe let go of that, because I see a larger picture here.
People forget that.
Yeah.
People don't look at the larger picture. They're very short-sighted, I feel, of late.
Yeah.
They're always, as you rightly said, the attacking mode. Okay, how dare she tell me this? How dare he tell me this?
Right.
It's always like, how? Like,
Yeah.
how can you tell me this?
Yeah, and why do you have to?
Why do you have to?
Yeah.
You don't know where I'm coming from.
Right. And
you
it
don't know
comes
my past.
because, it comes because, we also have a tendency of, while the other person is talking or sharing something, I want to make it my own.
Okay.
Right.
It's an interesting take on it.
Yeah. So I'm not letting the other person talk and tell their reasoning for what they mean. Right. I just start with a very defensive.
You're pushing your
mode.
agenda into
it. Yeah. That you listen to me. This is what I'm talking about. This is the point. You can't just take it and make it your own.
If I may, in these kind of contexts, everyone is trying to gain the upper hand.
Yeah.
Trying to dominate. No one wants to be at the equal.
I think it also becomes very difficult to be equal.
So where is the feminism in that? I mean, if even the women want to go above than the men, that's not feminism.
Right,
That's not equality.
right. It becomes very hot-headed, right?
Yeah,
and
of
at times,
course.
and in that moment,
I've seen it.
so have I. I have been in the receiving end
job,
of,
right?
and I've been in the receiving end in the relationships where I'm like, I know I'm wrong.
Has anyone
But I don't
broken up
know.
on call with you in front of you? You know what? I'm divorcing this guy.
They have come very close to talking about it.
God.
No, this is it. I want to separate. But yeah, I mean, there are other things, other factors to look at. But yeah, it is difficult, to recognize that, yes, I have some toxic problems and toxic patterns, right?
Self-awareness is important.
Yeah, it's very
Introspection.
important.
People need to work on themselves and then maybe look for a partner.
Yeah. Or maybe another take would be to look for a partner who's ready to do that healing journey with you.
No one wants to do that of late.
Nobody wants to. Not many people want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you can just sit with your partner.
I mean, if I talk about 100 people, 98 wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to, very honestly, because I've gone through shit of my own, and I feel that okay, I've recovered. So what's stopping you?
Right. But maybe sometimes the other person just needs someone to,
of course,
hold their hand and take them to a therapist. Maybe.
I think what you're coming to is intention.
Yeah.
The intent needs to be there. Some just like to bitch and whine. Some like to be like, okay, you know what? I need help. Can you help me?
I really need to do something. Can you push me? Can you take me to the person?
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm okay with that, but I'm not okay with bitching and whining.
Yeah, just being aware and not doing anything about it. Just whining and letting it go.
Yeah, no. Please don't talk to me.
Yeah. So maybe together you discover, you figure out your own problems, help each other understand, and then push each other to work on themselves.
वो एक हिंदी में कहावत है ना, एक और एक 11. Right. You always don't add up to 2, but you become something much more powerful if you are working together. I think if you can info from it. So I think we've spoken a bit in depth. A couple of last things, like if at all, if I, not every day you wake up when you're studying, you think like, okay, I'm going to listen to people and get paid for it, right? Talk people out of suicide, help people talk out of divorce, right? That's not something you think of every day when you wake up and you're in college, right? So what made you become a therapist? We've answered that. But if not a therapist, if not a counselor, if I may put a politically correct term, if not a counselor, what would you have been?
Mm.
Well, let's talk a little about you. Like,
Yeah.
what's your passion? What's your me time?
So my me time involves a lot of painting.
Painting. Nice.
Yes. I would have loved to do something on the lines of commercial arts, product designing, interior designing. I really feel like when I have a heavy day of work, I just have to open maybe my mandala book and start coloring, listen to some relaxing music in the background, set up mood,
Yeah.
and pull up some canvas and paint something and just dip my fingers into the paints and just make something abstract. That makes me so happy. And another thing that makes me really happy is what I also do for my self-care is read crime fiction. Like I can get so absorbed into it and then start thinking about so I love crime stories. I feel like I feel really calm after I listen to
Do I need to be
crime
scared?
podcast. Crime podcast, crime, all things, murder, mystery, and everything. So I feel like that's my escape. So if not psychology, if not a therapist, I
To
would
each their own.
definitely
To each their own.
I would definitely want to do something in arts, some designing bit. I still want to do right now also, like as a hobby, like as a part-time thing.
You
I don't know how. I really should now.
Yeah, you should. I mean, nothing's stopping you.
Yeah.
Even if you're getting paid peanuts, you're still getting paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think towards the the tail end of the podcast, any advice, it can be anything, career wise, relationship wise, suicidal wise, or anything you want to tell people.
I just want to urge people to spend some more time with themselves, and not just when I say spend time with yourself, I don't mean sit in a room and start watching Netflix series, right? You can do that, but also spend
With a
time.
tub of ice cream.
Yeah. That sounds really fun, but sit
I think
and
that's your
try.
Friday night plan sorted.
But try and sit and check in with yourself, right?
What do you mean by check-in?
So maybe question your own thoughts or see what your thoughts are trying to tell
That's
you.
introspection, right?
Yeah, introspection, a lot of self-reflection on maybe how my week was. On this is something that we often tell in couples counseling, to sit down for a weekly check-in with your partner. Like how do you
stay together? You can do that daily.
But it doesn't happen daily, that's the fact. And if you do it daily, then it becomes like
a task.
Then the newness or uniqueness out of it goes. So it's like maybe once a week or maybe once in a month to just have that check-in. How did we do? So have those check-ins with yourself. Try and read more about or listen to these podcasts. Look more into what my thoughts are telling me, right? Be more self-aware, and if you feel the need, you can reach out to counseling. You can reach out and understand and explore.
You do realize you're just putting yourself out of the job in this.
Yeah, but I do feel like that helps, that introspecting more and checking in with your thoughts and reaching out for help, whether that's a therapist, whether it's a psychiatrist, whether just talking to your friends. Like a lot of times we keep certain things bottled up and then it bursts. So don't wait for it to burst, right? If you realize that you're feeling, if you feel like if you start noticing some unrest, maybe go and check in what that unrest is. What's happening to my body? What's happening to my thoughts? Why am I thinking like this? What is the reason? So that's what I mean by check in with your thoughts. Go reach out, try and understand, have more of self-awareness sessions, right? Just by yourself. And yeah, of course, reach out.
Keep me in the job.
Yeah. हमको पैसे दो.
Pay my bills. Perfect. Thank you so much. Lovely chat.
Thank you for having me.
No, perfect. Loved it and enjoyed the conversation. I learned a thing or two. And always, as I told you earlier, I love talking to people. I love learning. I'm a leech in the literal sense. I listen to people and I soak knowledge from them.
Yeah.
So definitely learned a lot of things and going to implement that in my relationship. And will reach out to you for couples counseling if at all needed. I hope it doesn't reach there. But as you rightly said, that it doesn't always have to be when you go negative. It can be in neutral or something. if you're stuck in a certain place or something.
Or if I just want to discover like something is going off, what is it?
Yeah.
I just want to talk to somebody
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
figure
If
it
you're
out.
even in a
Some
neutral,
clarity of my thoughts.
even if you're in a, that's why I said earlier that even if you're in a neutral, neutral or or below neutral, you can go to a therapist. Sometimes for positive also, because you think the condition attached with the therapist is solving an issue. When you're positive, you don't want to solve that. You want to stay positive, right?
Yeah, you want to maintain that.
Yeah. When you're
So
neutral, you
do?
want to go positive, or when you're negative, you definitely want to go positive, right? So yeah, that's that. Cool. So thank you for tuning in, guys. Hope that helped. And yeah, you can comment, and I'll pass on the comment to her. She can reply if anything, any query or anything related to this particular podcast, or anything related to any session or anything. And yeah, stay tuned for more few episodes. Take care. Cheers.